Hi, everybody. I'm Shane's mom, Annie, in case some of you don't know me as well as others, but we're all gathered here today, and I wanted to talk a little bit about love. To love, to dare, to fail. Your setbacks are your comebacks, and love is the foundation. Shane is now an angel of the sky. And as your mom, Shane, I believe that you will be a warrior with the heart of an angel and the strength of 1,000 skies. Bearers of this name, Shane, are destined to bring joy and light into the lives of those around them. I believe you, Shane Connolly, accomplished just that. Shane was a strong, hard worker with a heart of pure gold. He brought light and joy to those that he loved. He always gave without any hidden agenda. I would like to condense my words into one word: Shane love. He spread it far and wide. He lived a life of good vibrations. I'm looking around me and I'm feeling all the love you have received and shared with Shane. In the middle of a pandemic, no hugging, no touching. It's a big toughie for us, and we think it's a big toughie for you as well. So to you now, I send you a hug from my heart and my thoughts, and I hope right now you just felt it. Thanks to you, Shane, my world shines. As a mom, I have been the recipient of your love, your great humor, and your Irish wit. I've watched you love your parents, tease your sisters, Lauren and Maeve, with the super skill set of a Jedi. Thanks to you, Lauren and Maeve, for loving and all of your kind ways to seal the sibling bond. Every single day, I am most proud of you for that. Thanks to you, Mac, who's my grandchild. They call me Honey. Shane was his godfather, and Maeve is the godmother. Lauren instituted sibling love right from the get-go. Shane, Mac knew the depth of your connection, so spread the Shane love. Kinsale and Adare, Honey loved how much Uncle Shane meant to you and how silly you were with him. Spread the Shane love. And to his godparents, my sister Maryclare McSweeney and my brother Michael Noone, what a fine job you've done. Never missing an opportunity to give Shane the love that he deserved and needed and returned in kind. To Shane's young 20-something friends, love is your future. Go make a great life for yourselves. We are all left with a burden here. How to carry on without him. Follow Shane. His actions were his word and his truth. Be humble. Be that friend that shows up quietly and unexpectedly, but consistently. Up your wit and humor to see if you can outdistance the master of the one-liner, Shane Connolly. Don't harbor anger and hurt over this. If I can manage as his mother, do not travel down that path. So can each and every one of you at your young age of 28. And if you find it difficult, my turquoise front door is open always. To my siblings, thanks for always being the example to Shane of what defines sibling love. Thanks to you, Shane, my world shines. I'd like to share a quote today from Ludwig van Beethoven. The definition of music. To play a wrong note is insignificant. To play without passion is inexcusable. Know that we are all together in love. Love has a name to it, and it's called Shane. Spread the Shane love. And thanks for loving our son. Next, we're going to have Shane's sister, Lauren Dawson.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? A little? Okay, I'll try and talk as loud as I can. I just want to know if anyone can hear Shane right now. I can hear his voice. He's saying, "What are y'all doing? This is too much." He never wanted to take center stage and always wanted to laugh and joke and hang out. I'm not that much of a religious person, but I do believe in love. I know Shane did too. I think that's why all of you are here. Shane, he gave us so much love. Do you know the trick when somebody is always tapping on your shoulder and then you turn around and they're not there? That was Shane's trick. He played on me all the time. I fell for it every time and fell for it for 20 years. On Friday, after I heard the news, I was very upset, as all of us were. That night, I was sitting with a box of tissues, and I felt a hard tap on my left shoulder. I immediately whipped around. I thought it was my son because Shane taught him that trick too. No one was sitting near me. I think Shane was just trying to say hi and tell me that every little thing is going to be all right. I should probably back up and introduce myself. I'm Lauren. I'm Shane's oldest sister. I'm 13 years older than Shane, and he was on my hip a lot when he was a baby. I helped change diapers and gave him his favorite banana popsicles. I laughed at his jokes. He was so funny when he was little, dancing naked after his bath in front of the fireplace and pretending to play the guitar. One time he was trying to sneak ice cream from the freezer and got scared that someone was coming and shoved it in the snack drawer instead. It melted and made a huge mess, but Shane denied it to the end. He was always sneaking sweets. My mom had a Shane test with the boyfriends I would bring home. If one of them wasn't nice to Shane, he was not approved. If he didn't talk directly to Shane or didn't ask him to play outside, he was off the list. I married one that Shane approved. Drew and Shane had such a nice and easy relationship. They were a lot alike and could always fall into conversation wherever they left off. Shane was 5 when I left for college, so he didn't really remember me living at home. But as fate had it, Shane moved to Miami the same time that we did. Drew was just starting as a professor at Law, and Shane was a freshman. I had 4 years with him. I think Shane's doing this on purpose. Is he not? He's totally taking these sheets away and telling me to calm down. Okay. So I got 4 years with Shane as a bookend. I got some of those years back that I missed when I was in when he was little and I was already in college. It was so awesome to have him over for dinner and hang out with him as an adult. My kids were little when Shane was a freshman at My son was 2, and the twins were not yet 1. My kids called him Uncle Buttons. The twins were sitting on his lap one night after dinner and were playing on the buttons of his shirt. He kept on saying buttons to teach them how to say the word. But instead, the twins saw Buttons, like my name is Buttons. And they called him that, and it stuck. Because we lived in Miami, the name turned into Tio Botones. There is no one better than Tio Botones. He would play on the ground with the kids and always send the most thoughtful presents. The best part of those years is that we had the chance to celebrate Shane's birthday with him every year he lived in Miami, whether it was at our house with his friends or out for barbecue or at an Irish pub, we celebrated him. Shane was so talented. I know I don't have to tell you all that, you know. It always shocked me how good he got at guitar so fast. Shane and I liked the same music. I remember telling him when he was little about Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton. I bought Shane albums, burned him CDs, and would make him playlists. I bought him a guitar when he was 10. I don't think I have ever been so excited to give someone a gift. I was 23, and at my first real job, I took some of my Christmas bonus and bought him a guitar. It was a crappy guitar, probably unplayable, but I wanted him to know that I thought he was incredible. When he was 16, he came to visit us in Boston, and we saw Citizen Cope at the Orpheum. It was such a great show, and it's a memory I'll never forget. He was endlessly suggesting new music for all of us to listen to. He told us recently that he would have liked to marry the lead singer of Late Street Dive. I think she'd be a nice one. One more story before I go. I have to tell you about the Shane shoes. It perfectly illustrates his thoughtfulness and kindness. Shane was 12, and Drew and I had just gotten married. We came home to Atlanta for Christmas. We lived in Virginia Highlands at the time. Our Aunt Maryclare and Uncle Tuck had sent us $100 each that year for Christmas in these plastic puzzle cases. You had to solve the puzzle to unlock the cash. We were all trying to get our best to get the cash out by solving the puzzle, and Shane found a hammer and cracked it open in 2 seconds. It was Christmas Eve, and Maeve and Shane still had shopping to do. So Drew and I walked them up the street, got coffee at Allegra, and poked around the shops. We went into a shoe shop, and I said, I loved these pretty pair of shoes. I looked at the price, and they were $89. And I remember saying, oh, that's too much, and I put them away. I want to reiterate here that Shane was 12 and in the 6th grade. We bought some presents and then headed home. The next morning was Christmas, and under the tree was a box from Shane. I opened them, and they were the shoes I said I had loved. Here they are. He had snuck out the afternoon before and used his gift money to buy me shoes. If you had a $100 bill to spend when you were 12, would you spend it on your sister's shoes? He was endlessly thoughtful and abundantly kind. One of the last times I spoke to Shane on the phone, it was the funniest conversation. You have to know this about our family, but sometimes my mom will send you on special errands. I say this in the kindest way possible, but they are a bit extra, and they're always time-consuming. My mom had asked Shane to do something, and he didn't want to do it. He called me up and didn't even say hello when I picked up the phone. He said, "Jesus Christ, listen to this one." I can still hear him saying it. I will miss his sense of humor and quick wit. There is a big Shane-sized hole in our family. Maeve and I have lost our sweet little brother. He is forever missed and never forgotten.
Lauren covered a lot of the ground I was covering, so I probably don't need to introduce myself, but I'm Shane's older sister, Maeve. As Lauren said, she's 10 years older than me, and I'm the middle. And Shane's our little brother. Many of you may think this was a hard thing to prepare. It was in some ways, but mostly it wasn't. I could talk about Shane forever. If he were here, he'd be giving me a pep talk, telling me to relax, and then acknowledging sarcastically how chill I am. So chill. If you know me, that's not necessarily the first word that probably comes to mind. He used to tease me about that and everything else. He was always zinging me with his biting wit, bantering back and forth with a playful twinkle in his eye. Gosh, he was so fun. Growing up, he was always the funny, free spirit that got everyone laughing. So naturally talented and tender. I was always coloring inside the lines and worried about things, writing schedules, getting excited about school supply shopping. He always had his papers crumpled up in a ball at the bottom of his backpack, misplacing his wallet and his keys in the most endearing Shane way. He couldn't stand rules for the sake of rules, while I loved to follow them, although he was definitely scared of our mom. We were different in many ways, but the older we got, the more it made us more like one another, absorbing each other's strengths. No one understood me quite like him, and I'd like to think he'd say the same about me. He's my bud, Shaney when I wanted to especially annoy him. A lot happened on Friday, February 19th. I lost a piece of my heart that I'll never, ever get back. But also, my phone broke. If you've known Shane well, you know his phone was always freaking broken. Always. All of a sudden, Friday afternoon, I could only talk on my phone if it was on speaker. The irony of that is not lost on me. He's totally messing with me, and it's still broken. Maybe a little God wink to tell me he's okay. I'd like to think so. Friday, February 19th, also marked 8 weeks with my baby girl, Mary Finnegan, whom my husband and I welcomed in Washington, D.C., where we live, in December. Matt and I told our families and friends the exciting news last summer, but telling Uncle Shane was definitely the best. He was shocked that I was legit having a baby. So joyful and genuinely excited, but really couldn't wrap his head around it. I couldn't really either, I guess it made it real that we were both adults somehow. He called to check on me so many times, even gave me a pep talk before I had Finn, because I'm pretty anxious about medical stuff. Halfway through the phone conversation, he paused and said, "What the hell do I know what I'm talking about? You need to talk to Mom. I'm no expert in this shit," is exactly what he said. He was always doing that for everyone. Running around Atlanta doing cockamamie errands for my mom. Sorry. He would call to commiserate about, but secretly loved to do. Checking in on my dad to make sure he was doing all right and reporting back the quirks that only I would appreciate. Driving furniture in a U-Haul from Atlanta to Alabama when I moved there with my husband. Spending time with Laura and Drew and the kids in Miami. Our extended family has a lot of estrogen, petticoat government, as my mom calls it. All of us ladies were always trying to get up in his business, figure out what's next for him, what he was up to, make plans. All along, he was right where he needed to be, making memories for us. Last week, I texted him a funny picture of Finn. Her cheeks looked huge, and she looked like Chris Farley, fat guy in a little coat. We used to watch the Best of Saturday Night Live DVDs all the time. He was always quoting that one. Living in a van, down by the river, eating off a government cheese or whatever it is. Any cool points I ever earned were due to him rubbing off on me, honestly. Music, I'm hopeless. As Lauren indicated, she and Shane were the cool ones when it comes to that, the artsy ones. Sports, we memorized and quizzed each other on Braves lineups and batting averages and Chipper's heyday, and jumped up and down and hugged when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl. Pop culture, he had to break it to me that Netflix and chill doesn't mean what I think it means, and it's not an appropriate thing to say to your brother. Anyway, he laughed about the Chris Farley picture and said he was saving the photo for Finn's 16th birthday. He could hear her in the background on the phone. He said, Hi, Finn. Hi, Finn. Well, Finn won't get to meet him, but I'm going to make damn sure she knows him. Sorry. Shane cared so much about all of us. All of you. It's on me to make sure Finn knows him, but it's on all of us to make sure we remember him, talk about him, laugh when we think of funny stories, go to Clay's and eat lemon pepper wings, drink his favorite beer, listen to Fish and Lake Street Dive and all the other music I'm not cool enough to know about. Rise up with the Falcons on Sunday. Go to the FSU Miami game. Chop hard at Braves games, even though we thought it was horseshit that they moved the stadium to Smyrna. Play music, dance, be free. Don't get caught up in what other people think. Don't do things the way they've always been done, just because. Give your time and your heart to others as he did. Check on our mom and dad for him. He loved this city, each of you, and all of us. Let's love on each other and make him proud. I love you, Shane.
Kip, where are you? Here you go. We're gonna have Kip speak, and we were gonna have others speak as well, but we might have to head over to the church. So come on over, Kip. And Kip's been great to us and helped us all through this week with some decisions we had to make, and he's been a good friend to Shane and a good friend to us.
If I may just interject real quick. This is a man here. He's the one who called me last Friday morning. And I know it was a gut-wrenching thing for him to have to do, and obviously a gut-wrenching thing for me to have to hear. But if I had to hear it, I thank God that I heard from Kip rather than from some well-meaning but soulless government person. So anyway, Kip Ray, a man.
Sorry, y'all. I don't know if I'll be able to be as strong as they are, but hopefully my boy will help me. So Shane and I met in 6th grade. We didn't have classes together or anything because he was always in the smart ones. We didn't have homeroom together. Where we met was on the basketball court. We would play basketball every day at recess. And then on the weekends, we'd go over to Willie's house, Kojo's house, or his house and play 21 until the sun went down. And then that's where we became friends. He was such an athlete. He was so good at everything he did. We were on the same rec league basketball team at Christ the King, which we've since coined, or he really coined, CTK Ballas. And he could cross you up like AI. He could shoot it from deep like Steph, and he would just shoot so low to the ground. He'd be dribbling so low to the ground, and he just could do it like no one else. And then in 7th grade, he went to Marist, and we were all bummed. I mean, it sucked, but he never left our lives at all. I feel like I saw him more when he went to Marist than when I did when he was at Christ the King. And one thing I'll never forget, it's Marist Pius football game, and it's big rivalry, obviously, and it's like you're excited to play him, and it's also like, oh, I'm about to play Shane, let's go. And he was a fullback, and he was a beast, and he would wear this red undershirt underneath this bright orange, yellow jersey. He looked ridiculous.
You know why he did that?
What?
Because I could never find him on the field. That's the coach had to tell him. They know who you are with the red shirt. He goes, but my mom can't. He goes, take it off.
And I'll never forget one play. I don't know, someone probably wrecked me or whatever, and I just was down the field, and I look up, and Shane is, and I kid you not, you can ask anyone here, he's carrying our entire team on his back. No one could tackle him. He was such a beast. And then another play I'll never forget, I tackle him, and it was a surreal moment. You tackle your best friend, and I just look at him, and I was like, what's up, dude? And he just goes, he's like, what's up? Now get your fat ass off me. And just as good as he was at sports, so was he at being a friend. Since Shane has worked at Republic, we've all gone down there basically every Saturday because that was his shift. And just to see him, hang out with him, hopefully get some free drinks. And he would always make sure of it, but he would always let us know. I'll never forget, me and Al. Al and I we all hounded him. He'd be back there just working his tail off. He'd be like, Shane. And finally he just turns around and he's like, hey, have y'all ever heard of some freaking manners? And I'm going to end on one more story that I told the other day, but I feel like it embodies who he was and the reach he had. Is that we went to McDonald's one day. It was over here on Roswell Road. And we pull in, and, they say, welcome to McDonald's, can I take your order? And Shane was like, is that Kima? And she was like, oh, hey, Shane. And Shane orders a large Dr. Pepper. That's all we got. That's all he was getting. Did that all the time. And he would always be like, hey, can we run through McDonald's real quick? Can I get a large DP? Be like, dude, really? But we pull up, and Kima goes, Shane, you keep drinking that Dr. Pepper, you're going to turn into a Dr. Pepper. And I'll just never forget that story because no matter who you were in life, you came across his path. He had an impact on you. He had a deep impact on every single one of us. Look at the amount of people here. He'd kill us, honestly, if we were all here. I'm just waiting for him to show up with his 6-pack of Sweetwater 420, like, what's up? Just late as usual. But just got to carry him on. Keep telling stories about him. He's going to be with us forever. and I know he'll be with me forever. I love him to death. I know you all do too. And I'm gonna miss him every day. But just carry on his legacy, and do what Shane would do. Honestly, at the end of the day, if somebody needs help, Shane would be there in 2 seconds. So do what he would do. I love you, buddy. I know you'll be watching down on us forever. I'm gonna miss you.